Welcome to Science Streams. If you are interested in all things science in a fun, wholesome environment, you are in the right place. The Science team is dedicated to making science more accessible to our entire community. We do a variety of interactive science streams, including microscopy of ancient amber with insects. If you've ever wanted to have a fun space to nerd out, now is your chance. We stream daily science content on Twitch. Consider hitting the follow button to join our colony and our mission in science for all.
This is a live sample. I have the sample in front of me. I'm putting it under the microscope. It's 30 million year old amber with an insect in it. Tell me if this is cool. 30 million years old, preserved in amber. Here is our little insect. I think this is a beautiful sample. It's one of my favorites. We have so there's very few places in the world that you can legally get these samples. We have a vendor. He has legal import and export permits. And because we're educators and we donate these samples to schools, we get them at a highly discounted rate. He doesn't identify what they are. Instead, he just sends them out like blank. Like, here you go. Here's this bag full of samples. They're guaranteed all to have insects in them. And then on Mondays, we put those mystery samples underneath the microscope and we identify them together as a chat. We look at the different features. We look at the body parts, the segments. We zoom in and out. We look at it at different angles and we identify the insects. When we do the classroom visits, kiddos get those samples. And it's cool because chat identified them. So we actually have this direct connection between chat, science streams, and like active outreach directly to schools, which I think is really neat. Cliff wanted a baby sample. Cliff, this sample is 1 centimeter in length, Cliff. Look at that. We actually are able to get the entire sample underneath the microscope. Usually we can't do that. I am getting extreme ant vibes. Right? Ant with little spines in the back. Cliff, you can do better than that one. I think it's an ant too, though. The spines actually look very much like leafcutter ant spines. I can't imagine we are so lucky as this is a leaf cutter. There is even a stinger. We're all leaning towards, I think, ant, but the abdomen has an insanely large stinger coming out of it. Yeah, we can see the different segments here of the abdomen. Those are called tergites. Those fit together like little sheets, and it allows the abdomen to expand and contract. And see, there's the eye. Relative to the size of the head, the eyes are not very large. So, given this, actually we can surmise it's an underground dwelling insect. I know that's a silly kind of extra thing that we can identify, but I think it's kind of neat that we can get that level of detail just like from its eyes and its eye shape. Ooh, that's Cliff. There we go. Cliff, this is lovely. Cliff, is it called an acrobat ant? Golganak, we can see some of the insides. Especially when I turn up the gain, like the brightness, you can actually see through some of the exoskeleton because of how thin it is. We can even see a little bit inside like this area too. Not much. And it looks like if you squint, here, do you see the change in color? This is darker in color and this is lighter in color. That dark tissue we're probably looking at is, if I had to guess, it's probably brain matter because it's connected to the optic lobe and the eye here, and then has like the stereotypical shape of the brain, but then the rest is see-through because the muscle tissue tends to break down much, much faster. So you can see the inside of this. Not like very, very well, but we can see. Chromatogaster. Oh, Cliff, that looks really lovely. Yeah, Golganak, actually that's one of my favorite things about the insects and having them under the microscope is because we can see that level of detail. Myrmica ruba. Ooh, feline. Petiole. Let's take a look at the petiole. So this feline brought this. Feline. The eyes look great. This abdomen looks on point. Like you can even see these little divots here. That's the same as our little ant. The stinger the antennae, the spikes. Big thing let's check is the petiole, right? And the petiole on this one as well. So here's the chromatogaster that I pulled up, and then there's the one that Cliff pulled up. Here's Cliff's. So they look, the ones that we pull up look fairly similar. Felines might have a nub. So I'm looking right here just as to compare. This larger, like two pretty large sized nubs, but the second one is bigger. That's maybe different than our the chromatogasters. You see, like this one, the first component is longest and the second component is shorter. And felines, first component is long, but the second component is larger. One on Wikipedia page, similar post our specimen. So that we need to look at the petiole. That's the big thing. Let's take a look, Golganak, because that's going to be the big thing right here is for us to decide. There looks to be something right here on the petiole. A little hump on the petiole. And or maybe a sensory bristle coming out of it too. But this angle honestly doesn't tell us, I don't think, the difference. I think there might be a separation point here, but it's not entirely clear. In order to see the actual structure of the petiole, I think we're going to need to have a different angle. And there we go. Sit back, relax, let us take you away 30 million years ago to see what ants look like. This actually view is not much better. We're getting, so I don't know if y'all can see, there's like bubbly scratches on the sample right here. And that's a little bit of an obscuring point to see this petiole in its full glory. We can see part one. And Golganak, there is the hair from the other side that you were seeing. It looks much more like just a nub from this side and not as much of a spike as we were seeing before. Some of those hairs now are coming out of that almost back nub that we were seeing. And so this angle looks a little bit more like our guy, but I want to get a good angle of this petiole so we're confirming it. I think a good component of why we're getting there to be difficulty is there's some of this looks to be a little squished. Like, I don't think necessarily it's collapsed on itself. I think it's kind of the angle at which we're playing with. It's not like a straight flush angle. Let me see if I can adjust the angle. See, because this is like this weird, like she's tilting towards us. And of course, this sample is so tiny that manually moving it around is going to be a hassle, but... Oh, here we go. That might be the shot that we need. There we go. This petiole reminds me of this one. Here's why I'm thinking this. This structure right here radiates outward, almost making a cone. It's a cone-like structure there. And then it's a little ball afterward, right? So cone-like structure, ball afterward. If we look at this one, it's the same. Cone-like structure that goes outward and then ball after it. And this one doesn't come outward, but instead one part is straight and the other has a hump to it. Do y'all agree with me on that assessment of which one it might be? Cliff, Feline, what do you guys think? Because y'all were the ones who were hypothesizing which sample it was. Let's find a phylogenetic tree, because there could be some difference to this. So this one, the Cramogaster, and then this one from Feline, Myrmica. Alright, so here is the group that Feline was chatting about, the the Myrmecines. And then now we need to compare it to the one Cliff said, which was the Crematogaster. If I have a hunch they're closely related. Acrobat ants. Oh, yeah, guys, these are... The common ancestor is pretty close. So, right here is the common ancestor. And it is a common ancestor of the leafcutter ants, which, you remember when we started, we saw the little spikes? Golganak was pointing out, hey, look, there's spikes on there. And I was like, huh, that reminds me of a leafcutter ant, but surely we did not get that lucky. And so I still think we don't get that lucky, but it is kind of cool that has that genetic relatedness. So feline, the sample that you gave and the species is located right here on this geological time, right here. Here is Cliff's, the acrobat ant. Now, number one, the fact that both of y'all picked something that's evolutionary this closely related is amazing, right? Okay, both of y'all are probably right in a way, because the most common related ancestor between these two is right here. So there was a split point here in evolutionary time. One continued on and became the acrobat ant. And there were a couple of other split points afterward, right? There's a fair number of split points here. And then your species, feline, went off into this branching point. And ended up, there was 2 splits, and then a couple of more down specializing in the Myrmicas. So given the length of this tree indicates time, given the time to get to your species is shorter, I'd say it's more closely related to our species that we have under the scope.
Thanks for watching SciAnts Media, and be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help our channel grow and support our science outreach and education goals. We can be found on Twitch most days of the week, and be sure to join us here for our next video. Thanks again, and stay curious, everyone.